Let's talk about one of the most important parts of your body. A part of the body which people often don't know anything about. What am I talking about? It's the vagus nerve. Sounds kind of fun, doesn't it? But unlike the other vagus, what happens in the vagus nerve doesn't stay there. In fact, it can have profound impact on your overall health and well-being. For busy founders, it may interest you to know that the vagus nerve plays a huge role in your performance, including things like your gut feeling, which leads to some of your big decisions. It is also the system that helps you to stay calm and focused and present when the pressure is on. You may also be interested to find out that there is a lot that we can do to manipulate or interact with our vagus nerve, hack the system, if you will. I'm going to tell you how to stop anxiety right now by hacking your vagus nerve. So, what is the vagus nerve? The vagus nerve is a long bundle of motor and sensory fibers that run from the brainstem down the neck, down the chest and abdomen. This nerve interacts with a number of vital organs or systems, including our heart, lungs, gut, liver, spleen, and kidneys. Vagus means wandering in Latin, which is fitting for a nerve which meanders down the body. It is the most complex of 12 pairs of cranial nerves emanating from the brain, transmitting information from the brain to the tissues and organs. The vagus nerve is busy. It's sort of the central highway of the nervous system. There are multiple nervous system functions which it or its related parts are responsible for. It plays a huge role in what is known as the parasympathetic nervous system. So let's talk a little bit more about what that means. Parasympathetic is responsible for bodily functions while we are at rest. Things like digestion, metabolic process, heart rate. It's also been described as the feed and breed or rest and digest system because of its role in sexual arousal, digestion. We can contrast this to the fight or flight system, the sympathetic nervous system that you have probably heard about, especially as it relates to stress or to trauma. So if the sympathetic nervous system is the thing that's like, go man, go, save your life, the parasympathetic nervous system is what helps us come back to baseline, back to society, back to our bodies, back to our ability to interact and connect. The vagus nerve is also sensory. It processes sensory information from the heart, the lungs, the abdomen, and the throat. It also has some motor functions. So it provides movement to the neck muscles that are also responsible for speech and for swallowing. So there are many vital functions which are impacted by the vagus nerve. Keeping a constant heart rate, breathing, sweating, regulating blood pressure, blood glucose, kidney function, fertility, the ability for women to reach orgasm, very important function. It sends information about the state of your internal organs to your brain, basically helping with major functions that keep us alive. What happens when the vagus nerve isn't operating well? A little research into the vagus nerve finds a whole host of conditions that have either been positively linked or are currently being investigated for their relationship to the vagus nerve. These range from minor annoyances to major issues and include things like obesity, anxiety, mood disorders, brachycardia, gastrointestinal diseases, chronic inflammation, fainting, seizures. Of course, most of these conditions can also lead to further illness. For example, obesity and inflammation are both linked with different kinds of cancer and diabetes. Anxiety or mood disorders may be related to major depressive disorder. So given how important it is, how many touch points the vagus nerve has in the connection between our brain and our body, how does hacking it work? What can we do to help our vagal system be as healthy as possible? There's a growing body of research to suggest that we can manipulate or hack the vagus nerve. Vagus hacks date back to research conducted in the late 90s by researcher Kevin Tracy. Through his work, he discovered that by stimulating the vagus nerve with an electrical impulse, he could reduce the body's overall inflammatory response. This had really positive implication for the treatment of conditions such as Crohn's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and other inflammatory diseases. Tracy's research forms the basis for the idea of bioelectronics, which we now see treating conditions such as depression and epilepsy. Outside of those conditions, inflammation is a response that we all have in our bodies, often as a result of stress. For some people, Hey there, entrepreneurs. That stress and inflammatory response can become chronic. Our parasympathetic nervous system never has the chance to come in, take over, and bring us back to a state of calm. We're always living in a state of exaggerated stress, which causes inflammation in our bodies. So it makes sense that we can combat inflammation and the associated health conditions by engaging the vagus nerve and improving what we call vagal tone, which is kind of like a workout. So let's see what you can be doing. Number one hack for the vagus nerve. First and foremost, to my heart as a psychologist, work on your emotional health. Studies have discovered that high vagal tone is part of a feedback loop between physical health, positive emotions, and positive social connections. These factors influence one another and become a self-sustaining dynamic. During an experiment, participants used loving kindness meditation as a way to positively impact their emotional health. Those who used this meditation on a regular basis found that it improved their positive social connections and their bonds with other humans, and it also had a beneficial impact on vagal tone. So the key takeaway is that when you engage in activities that promote positive emotion and connection, things like yoga, meditation, mindfulness activities, these things can bond you with other people and increase your sense of connection and calm. Second hack for the vagus nerve, work on gut health. So the language that we have around a gut feeling is actually a real thing. Signals from the vagus nerve travel from the gut to the brain, and this has been linked to modulating mood and some types of fear and anxiety. So a sign of a healthy vagal tone is someone who has grace under pressure, a trait most entrepreneurs can use on the daily. Your vagus nerve is constantly sending updated sensory information about the state of your body's organs, digestive tract, heart rate, and other information up to your brain via different nerves. Our gut microbiomes and those pathways to the brain are interlinked. It is also thought that gut microbiota are the potential key modulator of the immune and nervous system. Therefore, maintaining a healthy gut is one of your vagus hacks. So key takeaway, gut health varies from person to person and depends on how you're built. But in general, eating a healthy, balanced diet of whole foods, maybe taking probiotics, avoiding the unnecessary use of antibiotics, and taking it easy on the sugar and the processed foods and eliminating the alcohol. These are the steps to have a really healthy gut that can help you to have a really healthy vagus nerve. Your gut health via the vagus nerve can be incredibly important to your overall mental health and well-being, especially in your ability to deal with stress and anxiety. Hack number 3, use breathing techniques. Breathing techniques have been around for a while. You've probably heard someone tell you to take a deep breath, but more and more educators and clinicians are teaching even children to use breathing techniques to calm down. One of the ways that breathing techniques work is that they do activate our vagus nerve. They help us enter that parasympathetic response. When we are modulating our breathing, often we're moving our breathing to be low and slow. We're calming it down and slowing it down, which is the opposite of what happens in a sympathetic or an anxiety response. It's very difficult to be highly anxious and agitated and also be breathing in a calm, smooth, rhythmic, collected way. Deep abdominal breathing reduces that fight or flight response during stressful situations. And they're really, really simple. You can do them quite quickly. One of my favorite breathing techniques is simply called the 4x4, or sometimes called the box breathing technique. In this technique, you're going to inhale for 4 counts, hold a full breath for full counts, exhale slowly for 4 counts, and hold on empty for 4 counts. So each of your breath cycles is slow and controlled. You're counting, you're waiting, you're patient. And when you exhibit that kind of calm breathing, you're signaling to your vagus nerve, all is well. And the vagus nerve delivers that message right on up to your brain, which helps to alleviate and calm any thoughts or feelings of anxiety or stress you may be experiencing in a given moment. So if you're not sure what that looks like or feels like, you can join me in a quick box breathing practice. You're going to inhale through your nose, and as you inhale, feel your belly get round a little bit, almost like there's a balloon in your belly that's filling with air as you inhale. So we'll inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold on empty, 2, 3, 4. Do that breathing practice maybe 4 to 8 breaths in a row, and I can almost guarantee that you'll change some of the state of anxiety or stress that may be existing before you begin the practice. The vagus nerve plays a vital role in our overall health and well-being, and as an entrepreneur, you've probably felt the effects of the physiological responses that governs your body, maybe without even realizing it. Particularly during stressful periods, hacking your vagus nerve is really about adopting a few healthy practices that keep it stimulated and working optimally. There are many more techniques that we can dive into. Meditation, yoga, as I mentioned, but those listed are some of the simplest and most accessible to implement. You can take 4 box breaths at your desk, in the restroom, wherever you are, whenever you need just a quick reset for your body, for your brain. Have you tried any of these tips? What's your relationship like with your vagus nerve? Let me know what works for you in the comments, and I will see you next time.